The scent hit me first. Sandalwood cologne clinging to Rena's gym bag like a confession she'd never make. 2:30 in the morning, and my wife stumbled through our front door wearing workout clothes that looked suspiciously wrinkle-free for someone who'd supposedly spent 3 hours at the fitness center. I sat at our kitchen table, nursing cold coffee and watching her freeze like a deer caught raiding the garden. 20 years in construction taught me to spot structural problems before they brought the whole house down. My marriage had developed some serious foundation cracks. "Didn't know the gym had a 2-drink minimum," I said, keeping my voice level. Rena's laugh came out forced, brittle. "Very funny, Nick. I was at Jade's place after my workout. Girls' night, you know how it is." Before she could elaborate on that lie, her phone buzzed. The caller ID flashed across the screen. Jade. My wife's face went pale as fresh drywall. "Aren't you going to answer that?" I asked. "Seems your alibi wants to chat." She declined the call, clutching the phone against her chest. She probably just forgot something. While Rena showered, I did what any suspicious husband with 20 years of marriage invested would do. I looked. Her phone sat on the nightstand, unlocked and trusting. The gym app showed her last check-in at 9:15. Her group chat with someone named Aiden told a different story entirely. The selfie made my stomach drop like a botched demolition. Rena and some pretty boy trainer both grinning in what looked like a locker room, her wedding ring nowhere in sight. The timestamp read 11:47 tonight. My hands shook as I screenshot the evidence. 20 years of marriage, and she was throwing it away for some muscle-bound personal trainer who probably spelled his name with unnecessary letters. The shower stopped running. I set her phone back exactly where she'd left it, my mind already working like it did on complicated job sites. Every problem had a solution. Every structure could be rebuilt or torn down, depending on what the situation required. Rena emerged from the bathroom, hair wrapped in a towel, looking almost innocent. Almost. "Nick? You're still awake. Hard to sleep when your wife's out renovating someone else's foundation." She blinked, confusion flickering across her features. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, honey. Just contractor humor. You wouldn't understand." But I understood plenty. My wife thought she was being clever, sneaking around with her trainer while I worked 60-hour weeks to pay for the lifestyle she'd grown accustomed to. She thought I was just some dumb construction worker who wouldn't notice the obvious signs. Time to show her how wrong she was. Mal Rodriguez found me in Murphy's bar the next evening, staring into a whiskey that had gone warm an hour ago. My foreman instincts told me to keep this mess private, but Mal had been my friend since high school. If anyone would understand, it would be him. "You look like someone ran over your dog with a cement mixer," Mal said, sliding into the booth across from me. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I told him everything. The late nights, the cologne, the selfie. Mal listened without interrupting, occasionally shaking his head or muttering something in Spanish that probably wasn't complimentary to my wife. "So what's the plan?" he asked when I finished. "You want me to have a conversation with this trainer? Maybe explain some workplace safety regulations?" "Nothing that obvious. Rena thinks she's smarter than me, that I'm just some blue-collar guy who won't figure out her game. I want her to understand exactly how wrong she is." The next morning, I installed a dash cam in Rena's Honda while she showered. Small, discreet, positioned to capture everything. Then I called my buddy Tommy, who ran an electronics shop, and arranged for a GPS tracker. Nothing fancy, just something that would tell me where my wife really spent her evenings. Mrs. Greaves, our 70-something neighbor, was watering her roses when I walked back inside. She had the kind of observational skills that would make a private investigator jealous. "Morning, Nick," she called out. "Saw your wife jogging with that young man yesterday. Nice calves on him." My jaw tightened. Young man? Oh yes, very fit. They seemed quite friendly. I do hope she's not overexerting herself with all this new exercise enthusiasm. The tracker worked perfectly. For 3 days, I watched Rena's location ping from the gym to various restaurants, then to an apartment complex across town. The dashcam provided even better entertainment, footage of my wife and her trainer making out in parking lots like teenagers. By Thursday, I had enough evidence to bury them both. But evidence wasn't enough. I wanted them to feel the same humiliation they'd put me through. I wanted their perfect little affair to crumble like a house built on sand. Time for Phase 2. Friday evening, I followed them to the gym parking lot. Rena's Honda sat next to a flashy BMW that probably cost more than I made in 6 months. While they worked out inside, I worked outside. 4 slashed tires, each cut precise and clean. Then I left a note under the windshield wiper. Stay fit, stay away. The best part was watching from my truck as they discovered the damage. Aiden, I'd finally gotten a good look at the pretty boy, kicked his ruined tire and threw what looked like a genuine tantrum. Rena stood beside him, scanning the parking lot nervously. I sent her a text as they waited for a tow truck. Hope you enjoyed your workout. Check your email when you get home. The email contained a single attachment, dashcam footage of their parking lot makeout session, time-stamped and crystal clear. No message, no threats, just evidence. My phone rang within 10 minutes. Nick, we need to talk. About your fitness routine? I think the footage speaks for itself. The line went quiet except for her breathing. Finally, it's not what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like my wife cheating with her trainer. But hey, I'm just a construction worker. Maybe I'm seeing things wrong. She hung up. Phase 2, complete. Rena tried to bluff when she got home that night, storming into the living room like she had the moral high ground. You're paranoid, Nick. Are you drinking again? Following me around, sending threatening messages? This is crazy behavior. I held up my phone, showing her the dashcam app. Want to review the footage together? I've got hours of material. Her confidence cracked like cheap veneer. You can't spy on me. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. Dashcams are perfectly legal, especially in vehicles I help pay for. But you know what is illegal? Adultery. Still grounds for divorce in this state, and it affects asset division. That got her attention. Rena's software sales job paid well, but she'd grown accustomed to our combined income. The house, the car, the credit cards, all joint assets she'd lose significant claim to if I could prove infidelity. You wouldn't. Try me. I'd already moved our savings to an individual account and frozen the credit cards. Not theft, just protecting marital assets during a period of suspected infidelity. My lawyer had been very clear about what I could and couldn't do legally. Jade called while we argued, probably wondering why her best friend looked so rattled. But I'd already sent Jade's husband some interesting screenshots of text messages where his wife helped arrange Rena's alibis. Amazing how quickly people's loyalty shifted when their own marriages were threatened. The next day, I created a fake Google account and left a detailed review of Aiden's gym, mentioning their unprofessional relationships with married clients and questionable ethical standards. Within hours, other reviews appeared from people who'd apparently had similar experiences or suspicions. The gym manager called Aiden in for a meeting that afternoon. I know because I was sitting in the parking lot when he stormed out, carrying a cardboard box that probably contained his personal belongings. Rena's phone buzzed constantly that evening. Aiden, panicking about losing his job, begging her to fix things somehow. She kept glancing at me nervously, like I might be recording everything. I was. This has gone far enough, she said finally. What do you want? I want my wife back, the one who respected our marriage enough not to cheat with pretty boys at the gym. She moved closer, switching tactics. Nick, baby, I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. We can work through this. Her hand touched my chest, fingers trailing down like they used to when we were young. For a moment, I almost believed her. Almost. Then I remembered the selfie, the lies, the complete disrespect for everything we'd built together. Too late for that, Rena. You made your choice. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. You're finished, old man. Stay away from my girl, or you'll regret it. I showed Rena the message. Your boyfriend's making threats now. Should I forward this to the police? She grabbed for my phone, but I pulled it back. This is getting out of hand. Just leave him alone. He threatened me, on my own property, while texting about my wife. I stood up, looking down at her. No, I think it's time Aiden and I had a proper conversation. The fear in her eyes told me everything I needed to know. She understood, finally, that her husband wasn't the pushover she'd thought. Time for the final phase. The construction site looked different at night, shadows everywhere, half-finished walls creating a maze of potential hiding spots. I'd gotten Mal's text an hour ago. Someone had been messing with our scaffolding, loosening bolts and spray-painting crude insults on the freshly installed drywall. The security cameras would have caught everything, but I had a feeling I knew who'd been playing demolition expert. Aiden's BMW sat in the parking lot, engine still warm. He'd parked behind a dumpster, probably thinking he was being clever. 20 years of construction work taught you to notice things that didn't belong. I found him on the third floor, spray can in hand, adding finishing touches to a particularly creative insult about my wife's preferences. He spun around when my boots hit the plywood flooring, eyes wide like he'd seen a ghost. Surprise, I said. Thought you might be here. He dropped the spray can, hands coming up defensively. Look, man, I don't want trouble. Then you shouldn't have threatened me, or messed with my job site, or slept with my wife. Aiden backed toward the window, but there was nowhere to go. 3 stories up, no scaffolding on this side of the building. She came on to me, he said, voice shaking. I tried to stay professional, but she kept pushing. I laughed, harsh and bitter. Right. Poor innocent trainer, seduced by the older woman. That's your story? It's the truth. The truth is you're a predator who targets married women. I checked your employment history, Aiden. 3 gyms in 5 years, always leaving under mysterious circumstances involving clients' wives. His face went pale. He hadn't expected me to do homework. You picked the wrong mark this time, I continued, moving closer. See, I build things for a living. I understand structural integrity, load-bearing walls, foundation problems, and I know exactly how to bring everything crashing down. Aiden made a break for the stairwell, but I was ready. Construction work kept me in better shape than his gym routine had prepared him for. I caught him at the top of the stairs, grabbed his collar, and slammed him against the wall. Here's what's going to happen, I said, my face inches from his. You're going to disappear. New city, new gym, new life. If I see you anywhere near my wife again, we'll have another conversation. One that doesn't end with you walking away. He nodded frantically. Okay. I'll leave town. Just let me go. I released him, stepped back. Your car won't start, by the way. Mal's good with engines. Aiden stumbled down the stairs, probably wondering how long he'd be walking in the dark. I didn't particularly care. My phone rang as I watched him disappear into the night. Nick? Rena's voice, scared. The police called. Someone reported suspicious activity at your job site. Really? That's strange. Everything looks fine here. Did you hurt him? Who? You know who. I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Your boyfriend's fine, Rena. Just had a little chat about property damage and workplace safety. Nothing worth worrying about. The silence stretched between us, filled with everything we weren't saying. This has to stop, she whispered finally. You're right, it does. The motel room smelled like industrial cleaner and broken dreams. I'd chosen the Sunset Motor Lodge specifically for its reputation, the kind of place people went when they wanted to disappear or make deals they couldn't make in daylight. Rena and Aiden arrived separately, probably thinking they were being careful. I watched from the window as they parked, heads swiveling nervously, like they expected police sirens any moment. They knocked tentatively. I let them wait. "Nick," Rena's voice through the door. "Are you in there?" I opened it slowly, letting them see the folder marked "Evidence" on the bed behind me. "Come in. We need to discuss terms." They entered reluctantly, Aiden staying close to the door like he might need to run. Smart boy. "Terms for what?" Rena asked. "Your divorce settlement, my silence about certain activities, the future of everyone involved." I opened the folder, spread photos across the bed. Dashcam footage screenshots, gym security camera stills, bank records showing Rena's spending on hotels and restaurants during her workout sessions. "This is harassment," Aiden said, but his voice lacked conviction. "This is documentation. Every photo, every receipt, every lie." I pulled out a small recording device, including this conversation from last week. I pressed play. Rena's voice filled the room. "If he gets suspicious, just say he threatened you. Make him look unstable. I can get a restraining order, maybe claim domestic violence." Aiden's response: "What if he has evidence?" "He's a construction worker, not a private investigator. He's too stupid to put together a real case." The recording stopped. Both of them stared at the device like it might explode. "Turns out your construction worker husband is smarter than you thought," I said. Rena's composure finally cracked. "How long have you been recording us?" "Long enough. Amazing what people say when they think they're safe." A car door slammed outside, then another. I glanced through the window and smiled. "Looks like we have company." Mal stood in the parking lot with Mrs. Greaves and what appeared to be half our neighborhood. Someone had a camera phone out, already recording. "What did you do?" Rena whispered. "I invited witnesses. See, I realized something important this week. You two don't care about shame or guilt or marriage vows, but you do care about reputation, about what people think." More cars arrived. I recognized faces from Rena's office, Aiden's former gym, even Jade and her husband. "You wanted to humiliate me quietly, make me look like the crazy, suspicious husband while you played your little game. But I prefer public accountability." I opened the motel room door. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet my wife and her boyfriend. They've been working very hard on their relationship." Rena tried to push past me, but camera phones were already flashing. Someone shouted a question about her job. Another voice asked Aiden about the gym incident. "This is insane," Rena hissed. "You can't do this." "Actually, I can. Everything here is public record now. The photos, the recordings, the evidence of fraud and adultery. Your employer received copies this morning, along with documentation of how you've been using company time and resources for personal affairs." Aiden bolted for his car, but the crowd followed. Someone had apparently posted something on social media because more people kept arriving. Mrs. Greaves waved at me from the parking lot. "Smile, dear," she called to Rena. "You're trending." I stepped back into the motel room, leaving the door open. Rena stood frozen, watching her carefully constructed life collapse in real time. 20 years, I said quietly. 20 years I spent building something with you. You tore it down for a pretty face and some excitement, so I figured I'd return the favor. She turned to me, mascara running, hands shaking. "You've ruined everything." "No, Rena, you did that all by yourself. I just made sure everyone could see the damage." The crowd outside grew louder. Someone was interviewing people, asking about infidelity and marriage and consequences. I could hear Jade trying to defend her friend, but her husband was apparently sharing some interesting text messages with reporters. I walked to the window, cracked a beer I'd brought for the occasion, and watched my wife's world implode in spectacular fashion. Aiden's car wouldn't start, Mal's handiwork again, so he was trapped in the parking lot, surrounded by people with questions and cameras. Perfect demolition required precise planning, careful execution, and perfect timing. You had to know exactly which supports to remove to bring the whole structure down. "Revenge is best served cold," I said, raising my beer toward the chaos outside, "and tonight it's below freezing." Rena ran toward the parking lot, probably hoping to escape, but the crowd swallowed her up like quicksand. Camera flashes lit up the night like a twisted celebration. I finished my beer and smiled. Sometimes the best construction job was a complete teardown.